This is an excerpt from our What Comes Next mini-film festival, all about what happens after we die. It includes some dark topics like demonic possession and suicide. If that's something you'd rather not listen to, I totally understand, and I hope you'll check out one of our other episodes. And now, on with the show.
The reason I got so into spirituality is because I'm really curious what the next level is, and I want to do whatever I can in this life to get myself to that next level.
I am absolutely fascinated by things like that. I will admit, personally, whatever else is true for me, I kind of hope the end is just going to sleep, and that's it. I would be so happy if there's nothing for me after this.
For your human body? Yeah, that's very true. But from what I've seen, there is probably a bit more than that.
Oh man, I hope it's good.
Yeah, I mean, good, bad, it's all just kind of part of existence. I kind of look at it like existence is a line, right? It's a long line, and our life is a dot upon that line, and that line is like this infinite number of dots makes that line. So
right.
This long kind of endless journey.
I'm also of the opinion that whatever plane there is above this existence is unknowable, is genuinely incomprehensible by humans, and to me that is sort of a way of explaining why there are so many different interpretations. Because anyone who's gotten a glimpse of it didn't see it from the same angle as somebody else who got a glimpse of it. And its general unknowingness or expansiveness beyond human comprehension means that you're just trying to reduce whatever piece you got into something that you can relate to other people through words, and it's getting a little bit lost in translation.
Right. But it does make really interesting movies.
Oh, it does make fantastic movies. Because that is a great segue into talking about our next movie, What Dreams May Come, from 1998, directed by Vincent Ward and starring Robin Williams, about a man who, after his death, decides to gamble his life in heaven for a chance to rescue his wife, who is in a kind of hell or kind of middle place for people who have committed suicide.
Yeah, and that's that. I mean, going back to Beetlejuice and talking about ghosts, like, why did she kill herself? It's because Robin Williams couldn't let go of her, and he haunted her.
That's the thing. Something that is not, that movie comes off as, I think it was intended to be this wonderful visual feast, and a love story that defies the great beyond, defies death. But you hit the nail on the head, and the movie says this, but I feel like it was presented so gently that you could easily overlook it, and just be like, oh, he loved her and he couldn't let go, because, as Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character says, they're soulmates. They're intertwined even between the realm of the dead and the realm of the living. But yeah, when they were alive, the fact that he stayed strong and didn't show his emotions after their children died in a terrible car accident, and she ended up needing to seek psychiatric treatment, and he just kind of bottled himself up a little bit, that separated them, and that hurt her. And then after they die, he is reaching out like a ghost and whispering in her ear and touching her and driving her insane.
Yeah, and I've done channeled writing before, where you just kind of open up and whatever comes through, you just start writing it. And if you're feeling a loved one coming through and you're writing something that you understand that loved one would say, that will mess your head up.
Oh, yeah? Like, did it make you stop? And I mean, for you, that must have been proof that there's more.
I've never channeled like another loved one. This is more theoretical, like what happens in there. I like ask questions of like, what is this existence? And then I'll just turn my brain off and start writing, and I'll just get like all this gobbledygook. And then in that gobbledygook, there's like these little moments of like, oh, where it's just like, oh man, I didn't know that, but I wrote that. That's kind of wild.
That's cool. And that's what Annie's character in What Dreams May Come was doing.
Yes.
And with Robin Williams just telling her, I'm here, I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, that's torture. There is a moment when he's going after her, right? And they walk into the realm of all those like people who are just faces in the ground, like trying to find something. Herzog, I believe, is one of them.
That kind of took me out of the movie as they go down to hell to look for Annie, Robin Williams' wife, and they're walking across this plane that's just people's faces. And I watched a behind the scenes special about this, where they basically made a grid where like every fifth face or so was a real person, but all the rest were fake, so that Robin Williams could just walk on this floor of faces and make sure not to step on a real person. But yeah, one of them who just pops up out of nowhere and goes, "My son, you're finally here to talk to me about the documentaries I've been making." And I'm like, oh no, it's Werner Herzog.
Good impression.
Oh, thank you.
Does he know the director? It's just like,
I mean, this doesn't seem like the movie to have a fun cameo in.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie, what I did like about it was definitely the production design, doing kind of a classical art motif.
Yeah.
With Annie and Robin Williams' character Chris, their worlds being a little bit more expressionistic, with like thick painted strokes where you can really see the material of the paint itself. So much so that Robin Williams lands in the world and is splashing through what looks like live paint, because the whole world looks like it's made out of paint, which is a terrific effect to be pulling off in 1998.
Yeah, it's funny, when I recently rewatched it for this, thinking back to when I watched it in 1998, how it blew my mind. And I went with a buddy of mine who's a defensive lineman, this like 6'4" big dude, and we're both like bawling and walking out of the theater like, oh God, it's so sad.
It is a heart-ripping movie.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But the second time, I didn't get that connection to it as much. Mm-hmm. So Annabelle Sciorra and Robin Williams are soulmates. But the one thing I realized in this movie is their chemistry just wasn't very good. Like in the second watching.
I agree. They didn't really present a unified front as a couple.
Right. That's what threw me off a little bit. Back to the faces. The faces in the ground.
Faces in the ground, yeah.
So do you know what the Monroe Institute is?
I do not know. Tell me all about the Monroe Institute.
Monroe Institute is created by a guy named Bob Monroe who had an out of body experience when messing with audio, and he realized that he was kind of the inventor of binaural beats, which you send one tone in one ear, one tone in another ear, and your brain makes up the difference and kind of sends you to a meditative state. Mm-hmm. And so they have these courses there where you can. The first one is the Gateway Experience, where you go through different levels, and these different levels are called focus levels. And the second course, you get focus level 23 to 27. And I think somewhere in like focus level 25, you go to that place, the place of lost souls. Oh. And I was like, when I watched it again the second time, I was like, oh, I've been there. Whoa, that's crazy. Because it's like this black and white kind of gray area, just kind of wandering people and aimless faces. I from what I gathered, it was a lot of drug addiction and money addiction exist in that place.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of like the hell that we create is due to the addictions that we have on Earth and our inability. You're not a ghost. You're not attached to something on Earth. You're just you're not sure you're dead.
In yourself.
Exactly. Whether it's an addiction to something,
an ongoing want, something that you haven't, because letting go also means no longer wanting.
Right, exactly.
Which is one line that I really took from this movie, going back to their relationship. It's Cuba Gooding Jr. saying to Robin Williams, when he's feeling the pain of being without his wife, who's still alive, and he's reaching out to her and like touching her and talking to her and making her feel like she's going crazy. And Cuba Gooding Jr. says, it's over when you stop wanting to hurt her. Basically, that kind of lesson of holding on to her, like trying to hold on to her from death while she's still alive, is hurting her.
It's haunting.
And that's what's hurt. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's literally haunting. Yeah. And then someone else says later, you don't have to break in half to love somebody, meaning that you can be like a whole self and they can be a whole self, and you don't have to give up a piece I say that is like how this movie's got such beautiful visuals and this dramatic world-spanning love story. I think it still reinforces some old-fashioned notions of codependency.
Oh, absolutely. That's the second viewing that I had. I kind of threw me more than anything was that codependent and not really, like, I don't feel the love as much as I feel the codependency in their relationship.
Yeah.
And over some little silly things, but it's just like, yeah, that's the, you know, the Disneyfied to, like, you stick with someone through everything, and you'll always be there, and you be their half, and you're two halves of a whole, and instead of two wholes coming together.
Yeah.
There's an audio meditation I listen to, and one of the things that it is saying no to others means saying yes to yourself.
Yeah, that kind of relationship is, I think, a little bit glorified in this movie.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. Even with the kids, too, the fact that, like, the guardians of them coming into the afterlife, it's all part of this family. It's just the family. Like, the family is the unit.
This is a nitpick that I don't need anybody to really take me seriously about this, but whenever you go to a place where they say time doesn't exist here, I'm like, cool, so then we already know what's going to happen. When do I, as a new person, get to know everything that already has happened and start to have that understanding? That was probably what was in the book version of this, because they said the movie departs greatly from the book, was probably accepting just the now is now and there's nothing else.
Right. Yeah, that's I don't disagree with that. Yeah, that's the Vipassana kind of mentality.
Gesundheit. What is the Vipassana?
Vipassana is a meditation that was introduced by Siddhartha Gautama the Buddha, 2,500 years ago or something, and it's the idea of being present. What does it mean to be present? As human beings, we suffer so much misery by reflecting on the past and trying to make the future what we want it, and we're just stuck in the past and future and the past and future, and we miss the now, every single moment of the now, but the now is the only thing that exists. So the idea is you kind of practice meditating with sensations up and down your body until you kind of get to the subatomic level, and then you can start feeling like subatomic particles moving in and out of existence, and that moment of just like, oh, I am changing every single moment of every single day, and every time I'm not present, I'm missing a moment. I'm missing a moment. And it's the see things as they are, as they really exist, and they only exist in the present moment.
That kind of not quite having a grip on reality would be a nice segue into talking about Mulholland Drive.
Yeah. I want to say one more thing about What Dreams May Come. What
Please.
I thought they nailed is
Actually, let's give them some compliments, because that movie, we kind of said that movie has a big flaw in it, but it is a beautiful movie.
Beautiful movie. Yeah, it's got a lot of really beautiful. Cuba Gooding Jr., when he's kind of blurry and trying to get Robin Williams out into the afterlife, I thought that was a really cool way to do that. The way that they have people fly, they kind of float with direction.
Yeah,
and I was like, that is exactly how I fly in my dreams.
I was going to say the same thing, and when we get to Bardo, that was one of my first notes. How do you fly in your dream? Because then I'll tell you how I fly in my dream. I love it as well.
Float up and kind of levitate, and then just start move. I kind of pick directions and start moving, but it's slow. It's steady. It's more of a float than a fly.
Okay, I have to kind of step up, kind of like walking, and then the next step is actually off the ground, and then following step is off the ground, and then you're flying like Superman. But for me, the inertia that pushes you through the air is very inconsistent, and sometimes I'll be just hovering, kind of like you're describing, and other times I find I just can't move. I can't shift, or moving sideways when I want to be moving forward. It's like my mouse is broken.
Right. Just kind of trapped floating without an ability to direct.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought What Dreams May Come captured that very well. Even though I'm sure it was because they only had so much, motion that they could do on their contraptions back in 1998 to fly. It made it feel very dreamy in a really cool way.